I'd like to welcome you guys to this week's report. Today is Thursday, June 6th or 5th. Not sure exactly, I think it's the 5th. Been a pretty good week of weather here in Southern California. A little bit of rain on Monday, I think it was. It was Sunday. Boy, I'm really not remembering the days right today. I apologize for that. Then we had some rain, and now it's not raining. And it's going to be a little bit windy this weekend in most areas offshore. When I say offshore, once you get off the beach, it's going to be some wind. Probably not horrible in most areas. Sport boat, fine. You know, if I was on a skiff, I probably wouldn't run to Clemente. It's not blowing that hard, but it's blowing all weekend. And, you know, last 2 weeks ago, they missed forecast set, so it backed way off. Hopefully it does again, so I just recommend you check the weather before heading out. So we're well into the third week here of the CCA Star Tournament. This week's photo is a big yellowtail that Christian Munoz got in Cedros Island. Yes, fish from Mexico count as well. So if you haven't joined a tournament or picked up your measuring tape, still have plenty of time to do it. All it takes is one entry to win a boat or any of the other great prizes. If you are signed up like I am, one of the important things to do is remember to bring a measuring tape with you. I fished on Jimmy's boat Sunday and left my measuring on board on my boat, and I had 2 Calicos that would have qualified. So there you go, 2 less chances for me to win the boat. Anyway, set up the channel islands to get started. You know, the bite up there has slowed down a bit as is expected. I was out on the water yesterday afternoon. I can see it's about a half moon, so we're in between the new and the full. I know we're coming off the new, I think, so we're probably going to be, fishing will be getting better over the next week or week and a half here, improving into the full moon and shortly thereafter normally. They're still catching fish up there. I saw the gray light had a nice load of fish the other day. I know that the Coral Sea has been getting them, the Aloha Spirit, and a few yachts where I have friends that were fishing the Avalon Tuna Club seabass and halibut tournament. I don't know which tournament it was. They're fishing seabass and halibut. And they're using that, you know, pre-1950s vintage tackle with 4-thread linen line and chocolate. Rob Webster, he did real well as usual. My friend Kenny Knight was out. He caught some fish as well. Yeah, if you ever want to make fishing a whole lot harder, check out the Tuna Club and some of the restrictions they have. That 4-thread linen line's like 6 pound basically, and they don't even make it anymore. It had to be linen, so they actually found a company because all the stuff that existed from pre-1950s had rotted out. So they actually found a company, I think JD from JD's Tackle was telling me about it, maybe in India or somewhere, to produce new linen line that met the old IGFA standards, but definitely not an easy way to fish. I heard again from my friend Cole, who was talking about the bad behavior of the boats up there, and he says that this year is the worst he's seen. Guys just driving wherever they want, complete disregard for what they're looking at. So, you know, if you're not familiar up there or anywhere else, you see boats fishing, take a look at how they're fishing before you just barge right in. He said he'd be on the leading edge of a kelp bed and have boats run between him and a kelp bed with his lines out. So definitely, I'm sure they're doing it because they don't know what they're doing. And if you're one of those guys, just watch. Just take my advice. You don't need to rush right in. It's not going to get you anything good. I don't want to just keep talking about bad behavior on boats, but it's come up quite a bit. It's early season. It's being gangbang season here, so just be ready for it. So the good news is, other than sea bass, the normal stuff is starting to happen up the Channel Islands. Calico bass are biting, swim baits, and the kelp, and along the boiler zone. My friend Larry Heron of Calico Hunter Charters was out. He had good fishing over the weekend. I've never really fished sea bass on my own skip at Santa Cruz Island, but I've fished calicos a lot. It's probably one of my favorite islands to fish. So sea bass or halibut or bite, don't get too hung up on that. Go catch something else. Plenty of stuff to do. So, but again, it might be windy up there this weekend for private boaters, so keep it on the forecast. So down at San Nicolas Island, Good halibut fishing out there. Boat's been loading up by friend Jerry Mayhew of Saltwater Bass Series. He's getting ready to get married, and he had a little bachelor party trip. I think it was on the Pride out of 22nd Street. They went out and loaded up on big halibut. I think Jerry had five legals. And good rock fishing out there as well. I think that island might be able to play this weekend due to the wind, but maybe some of the daring boats go out there. So it's pretty much status quo at San Clemente Island. They're getting some halibut over there, some small yellowtail on the front side. I guess the boat's getting eaten alive by sea lions, which is pretty typical. I really wish that California would allow for a tag to take sea lions. If you guys are newer to fishing, when I was growing up, into my 20s, people used to kill sea lions. And commercial fishermen, captains, sport boat captains, things like that. It was frowned upon, but there was a couple guys that got popped for it later on, and everybody stopped doing it. But they really kept that sea lion population under control. I'm not pro killing animals or anything like that, or wanting to kill sea lions, but they don't really impact my life. But if you haven't fished before, sea lions are as bad as they are, you'd be shocked. You'd be shocked. If you had one sea lion around the boat all day long, it would be a horrible day back then. And now it's, you got 20 of them falling in every spot. So, yeah, I don't think California's ever been that proactive. Instead, the sea lions get sick, they crawl up on the shore to die, and then they take them to wherever, nurse them back to health, and send them free again to continue to forage and pillage our fisheries here. So I can go on and on about sea lions. Actually, the ones up in the where the salmon go up into the locks, get back into the streams there. There's so many salmon up there. The sea lions, all they do is they just eat the salmon's belly and leave the rest of the fish to rot, because that's their favorite part. And they've taken these things are smart. They call them dogs for a reason. They're smart as dogs. They've taken sea lions from one of those big waterways up there in Northern California and drove them all the way to Southern California, released them and tagged them. Within a month they were back up there. So they're no dummies. Anyway, good rule of thumb is if you're in an area where there's a lot of sea lions, if you catch any bonita or barracuda or stuff you don't want, mackerel, keep them dead and at hand. And if you hook a yellow and it gets close to the boat and the sea lion's around, just throw them whatever dead fish you have and they'll eat that while you can get your fish. So, Catalina slowed down a bit on the sea bass and big yellows and halibut and everything that was biting there. I'm sure you can still catch one if you know what you're doing. But most of us don't, so that's why we're here. I certainly don't. But the bass are biting over there. Bonita, barracuda, small yellowtail. I saw the freelance got some yellows the other day. Just fun summer fishing. Or late spring, whatever you call it. I guess it's summer. So, go over to Catalina and have some fun. Take a tank of anchovies. If you go to the receiver, they have sardines or anchovies. Take anchovies. It'll make all the difference in the world. I talked to Shannon from Sealutions, who runs at Newport Beach on Sunday afternoon or late morning. We got back from fishing. He's done a half-day trip down the coast, and he said every hooked anchovy that hit the water was limits. Was bit. He had such good fishing, his clients wanted to come home 2 hours early. So anchovies are definitely better than sardines. So speaking along the coast, bass are running pretty good. Start off mentioning my friend Matt Florentino from Salty Crew Gear there. He kayak fishes at night up in the Santa Monica Bay, which I'd be scared to death to because I'm afraid of sharks, and also I don't think I could fit in a kayak. He had a couple nice calicos the other night. Got great fish on the warhead. What do they call that? The neck breaker rig with the pickled kicker. So something to do. Yeah, breakwall's been biting as well down here, early in the morning or just before dark and just after dark. Yeah, so I fished 3 days this week. I fished Friday, and we went up to Butte. It was super windy up there. Now I say super windy, it was windy. I've got some video that doesn't do it justice. But basically when I left the LA Light to run to Point Firm, I couldn't make over 10 knots the whole way up there without just burying the boat. And so that made us fish a very small area, really picking apart. But we actually had good fishing, probably the best fishing we've had up there in a while. I think we had 14 fish, maybe 15 fish in about 2 hours. Back on a few nice ones. I got some video kind of showing you how this goes. And the thing to pay attention to these videos, all these videos I'm going to show you, is not about the fish we're catching, but about the presentations we're using. And when Matt's fishing, it's key to watch how he casts. I'm going to put a couple extra casts in, not just the cast he catches the fish on, but it shows you don't always need to bomb a cast out. So it's just a little underhand lob out there, will get the job done. Precision casting. So anyway, that trip we figured out that the bass were not holding it. So all the kelp that's the bed at Furman now is in about 20 feet of water. There's a small bed outside by the boiler in deeper water, and then there's some isolated patches that are outside of the main bed in maybe 30 feet of water. And all the better bites we had on Friday came off those outer beds in 30 feet of water. So it's important to pay attention to that, because if you catch a couple fish, let's say you catch 2 fish in 2 different beds in a certain depth and they're not finding the other one, I'd stop looking for the other one and just look for those. And all of our nicer fish came off those isolated outside beds.
Yeah, better fishing than last week.
Yeah, didn't take much, huh?
No, not really. Fish over here, Eric. Good kelp right here.
I see it. I can't cast it yet. Good catch, one.
Oh, I just missed one.
Good bite?
I just dumped one, yeah.
What's that?
The kelp looks like it's going to bite and it did. Oh, right behind it. Oh, a nice one. That's 4 pounds. I can veer off. Perfect weedless condition right here. Gold spot right there.
Ballers?
No.
Nice one. Good job, buddy.
I don't know why those kids go to Clemente. I guess because of yellowtail tunas. What if we've caught this one before?
Maybe.
Probably.
Sunday I went with Jimmy. We went and fished Newport pipe. Called Santa River pipe, if you're not familiar with it. And we got out there and, you know, the trick there is just drive along the pipe, stay on top of it, and look for bait balls that are up tight and up high. You know, we're fishing in 50 plus feet of water. We're fishing crankbaits and hard baits, so it's not like you need to make bottom contact. We're looking for fish in the top 20 feet of the water column. And we found a few balls of bait and got them pretty good on the crankbait. I actually had two easily 18 plus inch fish that would have been CCA star tournament fish, but I didn't have my board. You know, and I ended up with, we ended up with about 20 fish, about an hour and a half. And what happened is eventually the bass started coming in boiling on the surface, and but they were really moving around. They'd be off the pipe 20, 30 yards off to the side. They moved a lot. So sitting in one place, wasn't getting it done. We were just following, watching birds, watching bass boil, running to them, casting. The DD100, Lucky Craft DD100, ended up being the hot bait, and I had some video issues, so I only have video of Jimmy catching one fish. It was his bigger fish of the day, but you can see how he's working that bait as well. Pay attention to how he's winding the bait, and you'll see that that's how you present this bait. When you wind it, it'll dig down, and then when you pause it, it'll back up and float back up slightly. And that back up, that pause, is those fish get after it, and that pause, they smack in and you hook them.
Chovy, you know, anchor up out here with a tank of chovy, probably been flipping around all day.
Oh yeah.
Bonito or a sea bass.
There you go.
If it's a bonito or a sea bass,
What's that?
it's a bonito or a sea bass.
Uh-oh. Big Calico.
It might be. It doesn't even know it's hooked yet. Oh, there we go. Now it does.
Taking line?
No. Oh my God. Fuck. I don't have a net.
I'll get down and grab it.
Can I bounce it on this little rod?
Sure. Got the bait pretty good. Why don't you let me grab him?
That's a good one.
Jackpot.
Jesus. This fucker wants to stick me in the worst fucking way.
Yeah, we should have brought the scale or the measuring board. Hold up for the camera before you throw them over.
Did you have the dikes on you?
Yep, there you go.
There.
We got it.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. And a lot of fun fishing there. You know, it was pretty good. And we went down below the harbor after that, but it wasn't really, conditions weren't right, so we, I think we left his house at 6:30 and we were back at the wash down by 10. So Wednesday, Matt and I went back up to Palos Verdes. He was supposed to fish with Jimmy on Wednesday morning. He was off, but Jimmy has a cold, couldn't go. So I took off a little bit early and went with Matt. And we went back up to PV. It was breezy, but not nearly as bad as Friday. But the fish were acting very different. They were keyed in on very small bait and not biting our lures. First 3 or 4 spots we stopped at, Furman and just above there, we'd have followers, we'd see fish boiling, but they would not touch a swim bait or anything else, or they just dip at the tail of it. So we, I've seen enough of that to know when that happens, you know, no matter how great it looks, that, you know, when they're on a tiny rice like that, they're not going to bite. And so we ran up to Trump National, and up there we found that the bass were, the water was very dirty up there, by the way, cleaner down the south end, and it was cooler too. It was 66 on Friday, it was down to 63 on Wednesday, and that's common at PV. It rolls over constantly. Probably where that dirty water came from. But we found the calicos to be on the outside edge of the kelp beds. It really grouped up in a pre-spawn condition. I would say on maybe the next full moon or the full moon after that, those fish will start spawning. And, you know, so that's basically the way those bass work wherever you are. You know, in the as the water warms up, as we get closer to the spawning season, the majority of the bass will move from shallow to deep. Just the opposite of freshwater bass. They don't spawn, they don't have a bed, they're dispersion spawners. So they just spawn vertically in the water column, and then the males, females drop the eggs, the males fertilize them. They like deeper water, but those fish will be grouped up like that. So every fish we saw or hooked had, you know, 5 or 6 followers with it. And it was slower fishing, but we got a few, got some nicer, getting good opportunities. A lot more bites than caught fish because they were on that smaller bait. But yeah, it's starting to come together. And there was no birds really to speak of up there this weekend, or Friday or Wednesday. That's neither of those are weekend days, by the way. So we just looked for bait. Great if you got birds. The only birds we saw were on a sea line. So that's about that. I got all the videos I've probably already shown to you because I'm just mentioning it now, by the way, because I forgot to mention it.
Water's dark. Dark seas. Little
We
seas.
saying?
Huh?
What?
I said it's dark seas here.
Yeah. That one?
Had one. Came back. Oh, you fucker. Damn it.
I'm gonna have to rig up one of those small baits, haven't we?
Outside stuff right here. Rollers, man. There's another one right there.
Yeah, we rigged up one of those baits.
Yeah. Oh my God, look at all the bass below him. Wow. You got one. Ah.
But down at Coronados, they're starting to catch some yellows again. They're San Diego, I think, had a handful the other day. They're seeing fish. They're starting to bite. Water's cleaned up. I know that Brandon Nelson was down there in his charter boat catching fish. I think that might be a good option this weekend for you guys that live down in San Diego, because I don't think it's going to be great going offshore too far because of the wind, unless that backs off. So the bluefin, they've jumped all over the place in the last week or so. They were down below Clemente, out by the 60-mile bank. Then they wrapped up the inside. Fish were seen all the way up at the 277. Then they were up off the Clemente Escarpment, 711 or whatever they call that up there off the west end. And now they're out back behind Clemente, between Clemente and Cortez and Tanner again. Fish are mostly biting at night. Some of the port back boats came on flying fish. I know that Dwayne from Pinnacle has got some trips available. So if you want to go out and do that, couldn't ask for a better operation. But yeah, it's still night bite, still no fun. For me anyway. Definitely going to be great out there this weekend. There's nothing worse than rolling around all night on a boat drifting out there in the dark and tangling people and everything else. But hey, you know, if you go, pack some Dramamine and have a good time. But yeah, I guess that's about it. You know, I watched the weather this weekend. Hopefully it's a little bit better than forecast. I don't currently have any plans to fish, but I might try and get out there at some point, and it all depends on how the weather is. But that's about it. I hope you guys have a great weekend and good luck if you fish.